everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I am your host, Dr. Angela Butchchester. You guys know what I like to do on my show. I want to enlighten, inspire, and empower you to become your best self. Now, Scripture reminds us that the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. And that's what we want to do today, get you fired up about my guest. I'll be spending some time today with Amy Frey, and we'll be talking about her book, Memos. So go on, get comfy, get cozy, get your coffee or get your tea, because we are about to get started. Hello, Amy. Thank you so much for joining me today on Daily Spark with Dr. Angela.
Good morning.
I am so glad that you are here and able to spend some time with me here today. Now, as is tradition around here, we always give our guests an opportunity to introduce themselves to perhaps the few folks out there that may be unfamiliar with you or your work. So first question, tell us a little bit about yourself. What makes you, you?
Well, I am kind of a self-made woman. I am currently the president of my husband and I's company and whatnot, and we do a lot of different things for the electrical industry. But I am a mother. I am a sister. I am a daughter. So I am everything that everybody else is, and I love life and try to do the best that I can on every day.
Absolutely. I can definitely understand that. I love it. Now, being an author, is that something that you have always wanted to do, or did you find that this was a way for you to express yourself in media?
It was a little of both. I've always wanted to write a book. I always thought I could. But then in the time that I did write it, I was looking for an outlet for all kinds of different things that was going on in my life. And it became very cathartic and very heartwarming and funny, and it made me laugh, and it made me have joy in a kind of a rough patch in my life. So it was very important that I did that. And then I had the great sense of accomplishment after I completed the book, and I'm proud of what I did and am very grateful to my husband and to many other people that contributed to ideas and thoughts and praise and everything else. So it was a very interesting time in my life, but it was, I've been asked to do another one by several people because they found it funny, because it was a poke at business. But we'll see what happens in the future. Right now, life is very busy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, the title of this book, Memos, how did you determine that should be the title of the book?
The place that I was working was constantly sending out memos about everything under the sun. And these memos most of the time would have either mistakes in them, or they were on subjects that were not even pertinent to the business. And they became, even in the office, became a sense of laughter. And so I coupled that with what was going on in the book and whatnot, and kind of that true poking fun at the daily business life of a corporation. So it was very, it just kind of came out of it when I started doing it, because it was just the way life was.
Mm-hmm. I totally understand what you're talking about there. It was a cute way, and it was like, hey, yeah, this totally makes sense. Let's write about it from that perspective. I love it. I love it. Now, when it comes to the ideal reader, many times an author will format the book and think about the person who's reading the book, and will kind of write it in a way that really speaks to them. I usually ask the question this way and say, is your book appropriate for someone as young as high school? So that would be between ages of like 14 and 18. Or would you say perhaps college age and older? They need a little bit more life experience to be able to follow along. Who's the ideal reader there?
I would say the college age and above. It did take a little understanding of the business world to really get some of the jokes and some of the crazy things that happened in the book. So that I would say college age and above.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that, because even if we just conversations between a parent and the peers and our children and their peers, there are things that they just don't understand because they haven't gotten there yet. So college age and older, I can definitely understand. Now, when it comes to the proper way to read the book, did you take the reader along on the journey in a particular way? Meaning, do we need to read section 1 or chapter 1 before reading chapter 2, or are we kind of able to open up the book and start reading anywhere?
You could probably do a little of both. It would make more sense to read it from cover to cover, but you could jump in and see a few crazy things that happened on a specific item. So you could do a little bit of both and still understand and have fun with it.
I like that. Now, we are starting to get out and about and do some of the things that we did prior to COVID. We're starting to have a post-COVID world, or at least open up a little bit more. With that being said, many folks are starting to gather and do in-person book clubs again. Do you think that your book would be appropriate for a book club type setting, or is this more of a personal read?
I think it would be a great book for a book club. I used to belong to a book club prior to COVID. We haven't started up yet again, but hopefully we will. And I think it would be a great read because it brought a lot of laughter, and in the last 2 years there hasn't been much. So it would be a great one to start with.
And it's always nice to have something that's going to bring you back with a positive, as opposed to something really heavy and deep and all that. It's like, let's ease back into this, and what a great way to be able to do that. I couldn't agree with you more. Now, why would you say that your book was important to write? A lot of times people will say, well, I thought that I needed to share this because, perhaps this is information that's been passed on from generation to generation and we don't want it to be lost. Others will say, I had an epiphany. I had a, on the road type of experience and I wanted the world to know this. Others have even shared that it was, I wanted to leave a legacy for, my grandkids or whatever, for more personal reasons. Was there a particular reason that really stuck with you that says this is why this book needs to be shared?
I was in a position that was extremely stressful, and it was a way to alleviate some of that stress and to bring a lightness to it that allowed me to poke fun at myself and say, hey, lighten up. It's just work. It's not life or death. And so that was one of the reasons that I wrote it. It was very cathartic to me to put the ideas and feelings and stuff on paper, because then I could release the stress with the words.
Absolutely, and I think that as we grow and mature, we figure out don't take life quite so serious. Be able to laugh at yourself a little bit. It will make this journey a whole lot easier. You are right there. So then I want to ask. I usually ask: is this considered fiction? Is it nonfiction? Is it a memoir? How would you classify? What genre would you put your book in?
Oh, I'd definitely put it in fiction. There was truthiness to it. There was things that happened, but I always categorize it as a exaggerated farce. And it was very, there was items that had happened that I took them and turned them on their heels and made them even more ridiculous than what happened, and made it funnier and funner and whatnot. But yeah, it was definitely fiction.
I like that. I like how you categorized it there. Isn't it interesting how we are able to take experiences in our lives and share them with other people? I like how you said there's some truthiness there, right? And it's like when we interview some of the best producers or most celebrity producers out there, many times they will say this character was based on a few people in my lives. I remember Tyler Perry in an interview said that his character of Medea is based on, his mother, his aunt, some church ladies, and, just the people in the community, and just kind of making a mosh of all of them. And I was like, oh, that is so funny. So you are so right there. That truthiness really does help make it relative to so many folks. Now, one thing that you said that I wanted to give you a little bit more time to talk about is that taking ourselves so seriously. I think that especially during this time period where it has been a very serious time for many folks, hundreds of thousands of families have been affected by COVID and all of that, and we have to respect them during that time. But the majority of us have tried to, kind of go about our day-to-day life and not allow the situation to really kind of get us down. So we've taken some time to self-reflect and figure out what is important in our lives, so on and so forth, right? And one of the things I think that you made a really good note of is that we should not take ourselves so seriously and that we should learn to laugh. Why do you think that it's important for us not to always be in that serious mode of thinking?
Well, for one thing, it does shorten everybody's life. If you take everything so serious, you have to learn to laugh. You have to have a lightness within yourself, or the stress and the cortisol levels continue to raise. And then the fear of everything. I mean, there are still thousands and thousands of people that are fearful of even leaving their homes because of COVID yet. And it really, everybody needs to reach a point where they can breathe. And laughter always helps you breathe because you have no choice. When you're laughing, you have to breathe or you start to hurt. And so it's just so important to have a lightness about your soul so that you can, when people reach out to you to do things, you can accept the help, you can offer help, you can have joy in your life and have friendships and loved ones, and get away from the anger of the divisiveness of the world and the fear of the world, just by having a little lightness in your heart. And laughter is a very simple and good way to do that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that answer, that you have to breathe when you're laughing. If not, it's gonna hurt. And it's like, that is so true, but a very pleasant way of putting that. So I love it. Well, Amy, it is time for us to go to break, but before we do, can you remind everyone, please, what is the title of the book? Where can we get a copy? And of course, how do we stay in contact with you?
My book name is Memos, and it can be purchased on Amazon and wherever books are sold. And my Facebook page is Amy Frey.
Alrighty, everyone. Now you know where you can get a copy of the book. We'll be back right after this. And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. You guys know who I am. But my guest today is Amy Frey, and we are talking about her book, Memos. Now, Amy, one of the questions for you is, many times an author will say that writing their book has actually changed them in some way. It has reminded them to laugh more, or to exercise more, or spend time with their loved ones more, whatever the prompting is. But it also reminds them to do something as well as be thankful or grateful, or whatever keyword that they need there. Did you find that in your writing of this book that it helped you find more balance or realign or change your life in any way?
Yes, most definitely. It made me not so serious about everything that was going on in my life at that point in time. And it made me closer to my young daughter and my husband and even some of my workmates. They found it funny. They found it, they found themselves in it and would laugh at me for writing about things that I did. So it brought a lot of kindness in a lot of ways.
I like that. I like that. And I think that we forget many times to be kind to one another. We're so focusing on being nice. And I know that for so many folks, it's like, well, I mean, nice, kind, isn't it the same thing? And it's like, not exactly, but we do definitely need to be kind, and that is so important. I'm so glad that you said that. That's going to be an aha moment for someone today. So thanks for saying that. Now I want to ask you about the characters in the book. Now here is my daily disclaimer. If you want to know how the book ends, you have to buy your own copy. I am not asking her to tell you how the story ends. With that being said, Amy, would you please tell us a little bit about the characters of your book?
Well, some of the characters were, main character probably was based pretty much on me and what I was going through. She was a mom. She was a person that worked in an executive position or tried to work in an executive position, and she was having trouble with things and having daily things that happened. Some of the other characters were based on, one was probably based on my husband, who I met there when I worked at this company, and how kind that he always was to me, and how we reached the point where we started dating and everything else. He was my soulmate, is my soulmate, always will be my soulmate. So he had to be in it. Some of the other individuals were the not so nice people that I worked with, but were kind of adding comedy relief to some of the things that happened. So the characters were based on, as I said before, in some of the truthiness, but they were exaggerated to the nth degree and made even funnier than what things that had happened.
Love those beautiful words about your husband. I think that we should always, if we have an amazing spouse or significant other, I think we should always take an opportunity to give them their kudos. So good job there. I love it. I love it. And, I like how authors kind of take a creative license, if you will, and they do kind of absorb the people that are around them and give them their own characters in their book. While still respecting their privacy, and not making it so line up that folks are going, oh my goodness, that's Jack and that's John, that it's not quite that online, but they're definitely inspired by folks. That is so fun, and it can be quite comedic. So I love that you've done it that way. Now, if there is one thing that you want to make sure that the readers take away from your book, what would you say that overarching message is, or what is that one nugget of wisdom that you want them to make sure they grasp by page number last?
I would say work where you love. Work in something that you love to do. Don't stay in positions that are sucking the soul out of you. When you find your passions, follow them.
I could not agree with you more. I believe that there are far too many people out there working in an industry that they do not want to be in, or they're in a position or working for a company that they do not like. And it's just making them miserable, and it's starting to have an effect on their physical health, on their mental health. So you are so right there. I think that people think that when speakers, when coaches, when therapists, when authors say, do what you love, I think they think that we're kind of making it up. that we're just repeating the same talking point, but we so are not. You have to do what you love, and you will be rewarded accordingly. So that is so important. Now, speaking of doing what you love, I firmly believe that be it that you are an entrepreneur, an employee, a solopreneur, stay-at-home mom, whatever it is, that we need to have time to unwind and relax. What would you say are some ways that you are running the business with your husband, you are an author, you're all of the various hats that you wear. How do you make sure that you take some time off too to be able to laugh and just enjoy the moment of now?
We work out all the time so that you get those nice little endorphins going in your body. Those help so immensely. I have a great pool of friends and support groups with my family. We get together on a regular basis. Just like yesterday was Easter, so it was a time to be with family. I also have a wonderful family unit that we get together on a monthly basis, daily basis sometimes, to meet and to have fun and to laugh at each other and to cry if need be. We are very wonderful people, so it is very easy to laugh and to relax and to be silly and to be ourselves, to be 100% ourselves.
Oh, I could not agree with you more. I don't think that people really understand how important having that very personal support team is, or that your group of girls, how important that is, because we do require of each other that we are just us, right? That I tell people, it's so important that we are who we are professionally, but at the end of the day that we're given permission to just be us. Like my son does not care that I'm Dr. Angela. I'm mom. Like whatever. I want my mom. I don't want Dr. Angela. I want my mom. My sisters want, just Angela. They don't want Dr. Angela. So you are so right there that we have to be able to give ourselves that space where we can just be us and kind of reboot ourselves whenever needed. And I liked how you said that we can laugh, but sometimes if we need to cry as well, that you're there in that space, in that safe place for everyone. That was really profound there. I love it. Now, when it comes to the things that you have learned along the way, and I want to kind of shift gears just a little bit and ask you some of those author questions for our aspiring authors out there. When it comes to process, every author has to decide if they are going to self-publish, if they are going to use professional services, or if they are going to pitch their book to what I call the big boys. With that being said, how did you determine which way would work best for you and for this book?
I self-published, and I figured it being a first try at anything, that where I was at in my life, that it would be easier to do this because then I knew that it would be finished, that it wouldn't be, as they always say, the rejection tour type thing. So I decided to take that route so that I could get what I needed out of what I did. instead of depending upon someone else to give me that validation.
I like that answer. I like that answer. You were comfortable and you knew that your book was complete and you didn't need someone else to say, oh yeah, this is good. You knew that it was, and it was ready to be presented. I love it. The confidence. I love it. I love it. Now, when it comes to writing, many times authors will express that they need a particular environment or atmosphere. Flip side of the coin, they need a particular time of day, or that they find that they're their most creative at a particular time of day, be it first thing in the morning, late at night. Some folks even, perhaps noon might work for them. Did you find that you needed a particular time of day or environment to really be able to get in and write?
Not really. It was usually in the evenings when I wrote because it was the time that I had. But I would say my process really was, it almost felt when I was writing as if I was reading as I was writing. It just kind of flowed. You know how when you read, it just kind of flows through you. And that's how I felt. So those were the moments that I were looking for, were the moments that I was just open. And so it wasn't necessarily any time of day. It was just maybe a mindset or a mind place for me.
I like that. I like that. And this is why I ask these questions. Our aspiring authors are one of the largest groups that email us on a regular basis and really say thank you for asking these questions, because you, as an established, successful author, can really help them understand what's going on at any particular moment. So thank you. Thank you for that. Now, before I let you go, can you remind everyone, please, what is the title of your book, where can we get a copy, and how do we stay in contact with you?
My book name is Memos, and it can be purchased on Amazon or any place books are purchased. And my Facebook page is Amy Frey.
Thank you again, Amy, for being a guest on the show today.
Thank you.
And listeners, thank you for spending some time with us here today as well. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to spend it with me today, and I appreciate your doing so. As always, I hope that we have enlightened, inspired, and empowered you again today. In all that you do, remember that God's face shines upon you. May you find His grace and His mercy. Until next time, everyone, remember that you are blessed in the Lord. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.